Two of the Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us. I have no idea where this is going to go this morning because of the guy sitting across from me. You've heard him many times fill in for me. He was the former president and CEO of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, and now he has a new position, which we're going to talk about this morning, and also a little bit of his history because he's been involved or was involved in national political fundraising for a long time and has some interesting outlooks on politics. He is the one and only Matt Fallon.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning, Matt.
You know what? I like this better when we're both in the room because so often it's just you or it's just me. It's nice to be able to see you in person, look across, and really be able to have a good discussion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right, so let's start with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. You were the head of that organization since its inception.
No, I was actually CEO 3.
Oh, were you really?
I was.
Who did I miss?
The first two were great gentlemen in healthcare that everyone knows well. John Lohr,
yes,
who came over from Ascension,
yeah.
And then Terry Moore, who had come over from, at the time, Mid-Michigan Health. So I was 3, but I was there about 11 years.
I was going to say, you were there the longest.
I was, yeah.
And the Alliance, I mean, you particularly had a focus on STEM and all of those things. As you look back at those years, satisfying for you?
Oh, absolutely. For me, I had moved away and then moved home and had done a few different jobs when I had moved home. I was that trailing spouse. My wife came back to work for Dow, and she's still there in HR. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And, you alluded to it. I wanted out of politics. So for me, as the region got to know me once again, this was actually the greatest job ever because I got to promote and sell this region to our own citizens, people across the state, across the Midwest, across the country. We have an amazing story to tell, and quite frankly, the one thing I have always learned is we're our own worst enemies. Oh, yeah. We like to point out our blemishes a little too much, and we don't do as strong of a job of pointing out the great things about who we are as a region. And for me to be able to do that for 11 years was a complete pleasure every single day. I never woke up and said, oh, I have to go and promote the Great Lakes Bay region today. My life's horrible.
And it was supported by business because it's how they attract people and keep people.
Yeah, I would tell you it was supported by business. It was supported by healthcare. It was supported by higher education.
Yeah.
It was supported by community organizations. It was supported by sovereign tribal nations.
Funny thing you mentioned that, because since you are no longer at the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, you have moved on to a position with the sovereign tribal nations.
I have.
And what brought this about, and what are you doing now?
When I was at the Alliance, we had added Isabella County into kind of that Great Lakes Bay region construct.
Became part of the region.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out who to engage and why. And there were multiple entities that made sense. McLaren made sense. They have a hospital in Mount Pleasant, one in Bay City. CMU made sense. We knew a lot that was going to be happening with the medical school, where things were heading. But when you looked at another big one, it was the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe for a variety of reasons. Number one, if you really think about anywhere in the Great Lakes Bay region, the land we're on, that was Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe land, right? This is an area that this was their original home. So
Chippewa.
It made all the sense in the world to engage them. The reservations today are in Isabella County and Aranet County, so kind of on different sides of the region. But when you think about an organization that has impact across this region, it's the largest employer in Isabella County, brings in massive entertainment acts from across the world come in, has phenomenal gaming, dining, hotel, etc. It's such a big economic player. I brought them into the fold with the Alliance, and really during my time and my tenure, tried to explain to people that we were home to 4 counties and a sovereign tribal nation. It was a very unique part. And probably the best way I can say is that, I built a great relationship over a decade. And one day they called me and said, Matt, we know that you enjoy your work and that you're there, but would you be willing to talk to us about a position with an organization called McGeezy Economic Development Company? And it's basically responsible for non-gaming businesses of the Saguenay-Chippewa Indian Tribe. So I don't work on the casino side. You're not going to find me on the floor running table games or the hotel there. I'm not going to be on the app running that. There's a CEO, Joseph Nagwanebe Jr., who runs our entire gaming sector.
He is tribal, isn't he?
He is from a tribe in the northern United States.
Right.
He came to us from Minnesota.
Yeah.
His only problem is he wears that doggone Vikings attire way too much, especially on Fridays. We're working on him, though. So he takes care of that side. I have the non-gaming side, and we can get into
who's
what
responsible
that is.
For example, they have the big outdoor theater and big outdoor concerts. Is that run by the gaming side, or is that your side?
That is the gaming side, 100%.
The entertainment is the gaming side.
Yes.
That's contracted inside the property where the casino is in the hotel.
100%. I want you to think about it this way.
Is the hotel gaming side also?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. At least there are 2 hotels that are in my portfolio that are different because they're not attached to gaming. But I want you to think about it this way. The hotel, these concerts, the events, if there's an outdoor concert with 10,000 people to concert, there's another 20,000 people that are inside on the gaming floor playing slots, playing cards in the restaurants. I would be a great example. If my friend said, hey, we're all going to the country concert and we're going to the casino, I'd be like, great. You guys enjoy the concert. I'll be inside at the sports book or playing roulette, whatever it is. Both of those are really meant to drive customers onto the casino floor.
Everything
to
they
come
do
out.
is meant to do
100%.
that. Yeah.
But I think what people are looking for at the end of the day, it's just a fun night out with friends, a fun night out with family. And when you can go over there and watch a great show, have dinner. The last one that I did a blast with, we went to Ruth's Chris and had a steak.
Yep.
And then we watched James Taylor. And it was a great outdoor show. We loved the music. Still great to see James Taylor on stage doing his thing. It was just an awesome night. So all that falls to the casino side.
So the next question is, what falls to your side?
So
and what's the name of that company again?
McGeezy, MIGIZI.
Does that have something to do with their language? Or
it does. McGeezy means eagle.
Okay.
So it's a way to differentiate the non-gaming side from the casino side, but it uses the same name. It just uses the Ojibwe language, which is great.
Your position is what? You're president of that?
I'm the CEO.
CEO of that company.
Of McGeezy. Yep.
And what falls under McGeezy? When
So
we say, we think everything in terms of the casinos.
Yeah. So for us today, it's a variety of businesses. So it's Soaring Eagle Water Park and Hotel. So we have the water park there. The Retreat Hotel. So we have a couple of hotels that are not gaming. But, of course, we're sister properties.
Well, yeah.
So we find great synergy between the properties. We own various real estate, rental, housing, duplexes, apartments, etc. We have an arm where we help control a tech park, where we're looking to bring in new investors into our tech park. We own a business park, and so we're working right now to fill that up. Gas stations in Mount Pleasant and in Aranet County and Standish. There's Sagamok mobile gas stations, Cardinal Pharmacy. We work in the 8A space, which is federal contracting. We have contracts in Atlanta and in Aberdeen, Maryland. The SBA has set up the 8A program for tribal communities to get into the small business world, although because it's the federal government, their definition of small business is $100 million and less.
Yeah, I'm going to say there's nothing small about this business.
No. But I think what's even more exciting, we have a lot of great companies and businesses that we operate today. I would say, it's about 7 companies, 200 to 300 employees, depending on time of year and the various things that we're doing. But what's even more exciting when I was brought in was to really help grow this portfolio, because this little device that I'm holding in my hand has really cut into brick and mortar gaming.
Yeah.
And what tribes are doing today is probably no different than in the 80s when they decided to get into casino gaming. Before that, I mean, really the economic Outlook for tribes was bleak, and they made a leap of faith to get into bingo. They took $500,
Sure.
and it was a massive investment for them at the time. And bingo turned to slots, and slots turned to a little, one hall, which turned into a casino and a hotel, and the story moves, right? But like any organization or company, you understand that times are going to change, markets are going to change, and so their future depends on the further diversification of a non-gaming portfolio of businesses. So we are just looking at expanding wildly here in the years ahead, and we can talk about that.
And
that's why I'm there.
This has nothing to do with putting people in front of a slot machine. This has to do with financial survival, even if the casino went away.
100%. Eventually, we would like to build a non-gaming portfolio of businesses that rivals the strength of the gaming side, so that there are two very clear, strong revenue streams for the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe.
Take a break and be back as we chat with Matt Fallon here on WSGW.
Hey, it's Charlie Rood here.
All right, we're back with you. In studio with me, the CEO of McGeezy Businesses. McGeezy, what's the whole thing?
Economic Development Company.
McGeezy Economic Development Company. It's the economic development arm of the Soaring Eagle tribe, the Chippewa Indian tribe. And Matt has been brought on as CEO. We'll come back to that. But I've known Matt a long time. And I knew what Matt did before he got here. You were a fundraiser of some note. You were a national fundraiser for people, including Hillary Clinton, at one time, right?
Yeah, I had a time frame where I had two clients, Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, as we had elected Tim as the governor of Virginia, and did that race. And Virginia has this really odd rule. You can be governor as many terms as you'd like, but none consecutively.
So every other time you
yeah, and it's rare that anyone does that. It doesn't really work out. But what's nice is when a governor comes in, they're not up for re-election. So he said, why don't you pick another client? And a really bizarre story, Terry McAuliffe, who eventually became governor of Virginia as well, had been the fundraiser for Bill Clinton way back when. And he had appreciated my aggressive fundraising nature and said, I have someone I want you to meet. And, for several years, those were the two simultaneous clients that I had.
And, Hillary Clinton, of course, and national prominence and all of that. How did you take to doing that? How did you become such a big fundraiser?
So you are going to laugh hysterically. And for people that are listening that know this region, you'll appreciate it. I'm just a South End of Bay City kid.
That's where you're from.
Yeah, I grew up a block from St. Stan's Church, and I'll just say that there were two things that I saw growing up that just became me. So number one, I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 12th grade. I went to St. Stan's, and then I went to Bay City All Saints. And I don't care what it is, we were raised and trained to be epic fundraisers. Caramello candy bars, magazines, raffle tickets, sports this. My dad was a president of the athletic club at All Saints for 12 years.
Oh, was he really?
He ran the kitchen at the St. Stan's Festival. There was never a time in my life that we weren't raising money for something. So that was one, but then two, my dad's from very southern Texas. I always joke. My mom's family's from Canada. My dad's from southern Texas. So I'm half Mexican, half Canadian. And my Mexican side of the family, they were always selling something. My grandmother always sold Avon. She sold tamales at the holidays. I just grew up in this environment where you just sold and you got community support. And so when I loved politics and wanted to get involved and got on a campaign, they said, what do you think about fundraising? I'm like, well, I've been fundraising since I came out of the womb. Like, let's go. And I can't really make it up. Most people don't like fundraising. They don't enjoy it. They don't like asking for money. I was like, I was like a fish to water with it, and it just came naturally.
But it's one thing to walk up to somebody and say, hey, you want to buy a Camelo bar? It's another thing to walk up to somebody and say, hey, you want to give me $1 million?
Very, very different, but you would be shocked how similar it really is.
Oh, really?
Just you're selling different things. Could be an ideal. But like anything else, and this is kind of the difficult part of political fundraising, whether you're working on a federal race or a state race, there's a lot of money involved, and there are a lot of contracts, and there's a lot of things that go on. So one of the ones that I learned the most in 2001 and 2002, it was the first big race I worked on. I worked for a woman named Senator Jean Carnahan from Missouri. It's a fascinating story. A lot of you remember it. Her husband had died in a plane crash 3 weeks before Election Day. And Mel Carnahan passed away with a son and a staffer, but he still beat the Republican candidate, even though he'd passed away.
Yeah.
And so they appointed his wife, Jean Carnahan, to the seat. So I lived in D.C. in 2001 and 2, and if you think about what happened during that time frame, a lot.
Yeah.
So the senator before 9/11 was put on the Armed Services Committee and on the Commerce Committee because they're great committees to serve on to fundraise. Well, when 9/11 happened, the two committees that saw the most action were Commerce, which handled everything in the airline industry, and Armed Services.
Right.
And if you want to talk about easy fundraising, working for a senator in the majority on those two committees, I got to know missile defense companies, contractors, and every airline, every anything. You saw the impact of money in politics and access and the discussions, and that was just like one sliver in time for one member, one senator. Now picture the entire package.
Yeah.
It is unfortunately a business unto itself that's really about access and investment.
Which begs the question, has money ruined politics?
1,000%. It's absolutely horrendous. I always feel bad when I say that when I'm sitting in a radio station, because when it comes election time,
Yeah, you don't have to go ask for it.
yeah,
now.
this station plays a lot of ads, right? A lot of political ads. A connoisseur media loves it. It's a great thing. But money has harmed the system. But it's gone through the process. It was proven. Free speech. You're allowed to give the money to get your view out. It was proven in the Supreme Court. Yes, this is allowable. So guess what, folks? Here we are.
Political
we
speech.
live in the Wild West. It's a different use of free speech. But I will tell you, it's absolutely, I don't know if ruining politics is the right word, because politics
No,
are
that's a
so
good
awful
word.
to begin with.
Yeah.
But it has made it so much worse, Art.
Couple it with social media and all the other things happening out there, and it's a different world we live in.
You can't avoid it. You turn on the TV, you're streaming something online. Probably the worst
You hit
now,
over the
and
head
I
with
get
it.
into it with folks because I like the debate and the dialogue. With social media, everyone gets an opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone has a platform.
I like to, when I talk to folks about the media and things like that, I like to say, well, let's look at it this way. In the days of Thomas Jefferson, he was accused of adultery, maybe even was guilty of it. His opponent might have accused him. Some reporter wrote it down. It might have been printed on a piece of paper, put on a horse, delivered it to your town and other towns. You'd either hear the town crier read it off, or you'd read it yourself, and you'd toss it. And that's the only time you heard of it. If Thomas Jefferson were alive today, and that same charge came forward, you would hear about it 100 times a day for weeks on end until you were beat over the head with it. It's a big difference.
Totally different. And I'm going to play the boomerang game with you real quick?
Yeah.
I have this good friend of mine who has been involved in media, radio. He even had a talk show for 50-some years. Good guy. You should go look in the mirror. But he's asked the question sometimes of what is media? Like, define it. And you have an answer.
I have an
that
answer.
is the exact same that I would tell you is politics. At the end of the day, what is politics?
Business.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And it's a very big business.
That's funny.
Very
You bring
similar.
that up that way. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, and when you say business, the next word that comes along is money.
Unavoidable.
What business is there for.
1,000%.
Quick break, and we'll be back as we chat with Matt Fallon here on the Art Lewis Show.
We're proud to make
You had one of the few non-natives in an executive position.
So it's actually bizarre. I am not Chippewa. I have Otomi, native North American blood. We
Oh, you
did the
do? From
23andMe.
Canada?
No, other side.
Oh, really?
So when you think
Really?
about the Mexican culture it wasn't there. There was no Mexico.
Right.
The Mexican culture evolved from people that were really a blend of Southern Europeans and existing tribes in Mexico today. So we actually did the 23andMe because we were so curious, and it was shocking how accurate it came up. I have about 20% blood that's Spanish Portuguese from that Southern Europe.
Yep.
But another 20% that was the Otomi tribe, which is based in
Surprised
northern
you?
Mexico today. Didn't know which tribe, right? Because some of it, you think the classic Aztec, Maya, Incan, but there were so many other tribes you didn't know. So it's always interesting growing up because Mexican families either have even the look of being a little bit more tribal or a look of being a little bit more European. Myself being half Canadian, my entire life I've gotten the age-old question, what are you? I always laugh. I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm America. I'm the melting pot. But I would just say on my Mexican side of the family, we definitely had more of the native features, looks to us. So I can tell you when I'm there on the tribe, there's been a little bit of chatter of like, hey, who is he? Is he Native American? Is he not? You know, people are learning. I would just say that I definitely have Native influences in my life, and some type of Native North American blood does exist in me.
That's interesting. You mentioned 23andMe. I did that. I got it as a gift for Christmas a number of years ago. I didn't come back as diversified. I learned something. I'm Jewish from New York, and I always looked at Judaism as a religion.
Sure.
I discovered with 23andMe, it's a race. I came back 99.2% Ashkenazi Jew.
Wow.
And the other 0.8, which I knew was from Hungary, Russia, you know, a slight mix. But it's such a small percentage. But yeah, that surprised me. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's shocking how accurate that is because you hear the stories from your family, right? Here's
yeah,
your background,
well,
here's
sure,
this,
yeah.
here's that.
Yeah.
And it was funny. We learned a couple things that may not have been quite as true as everyone thought, but it was nice to be able, in our case, to really be able to get down to the specific tribe that the family, you know, descended from.
Yeah, no, for you, I mean, that had to be a real eye-opener.
It was. Had no idea. Didn't even know that an Otomi tribe existed.
Yeah. It's fun to do that. It really is, you know. But I was really shocked.
I bet.
Big time.
I bet.
So you go to work for the tribe. How different is it working for a Native American nation like the Chippewa as opposed to working in the secular world of business, for example?
So you have to be the right person because you have to understand, you know, that you're working for a much larger mission. You're not working for X company with its name on the left-hand side of the check. You're working for a people. You're working for a sovereign nation that has deep history. I always, you know, we talk about politics and government. They have a very old politics and government that makes the U.S. government look brand new, right?
Sometimes a little disjointed.
Just like any other politics, right?
Yeah.
So there's some politics involved there, but there's a deep pride, a deep culture, in some cases, a long memory. You know, I was reminded yesterday, the Isabella tribe is where the people were sent. That really wasn't the land. The land we're on today, closer to the Saginaw River and the Bay, those were true original lands, right? People, the Trail of Tears, people were moved. The tribes were moved. So today they have tribal lands in Aranet County, which is a little bit more, I would say, true to the roots. And then in Isabella, so you have both of those reservations. You just have to remember who you're working for every day. It means a little bit more because you're taking on that responsibility when you go to work for the tribe.
So let me ask you, when you go and sit down with a businessman or a business, or you're looking for economic development for McGeezy, are you treated like a business entity, like any other corporation that comes and sits down and is negotiating with you? Or are you treated like a sovereign nation?
I would say today like a business, and I give the tribe all the credit in the world because they've worked hard since the inception of building casinos and getting involved in gaming in the 80s. They today have become an incredibly sophisticated, generous, community-minded business organization that operates much like every other business that's out there. So although it is uniquely owned by the tribe, we operate like any other business that's out there today, and others treat us in that same manner.
And any project you have off reservation is treated just like any other business off reservation.
Absolutely. We have to follow the same rules, same guidelines, same competitive landscape.
We'll talk about their generosity when we return. Matt Fallon, our guest here on the Art Lewis Show.
Gotta go.
All right, we're back with you in studio with me, and he's going to hang around, by the way, till about 11:25. He is Matt Fallon. You hear him filling in for me from time to time, and the former CEO of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, and now the CEO of McGeezy, economic developmental arm of the Chippewa tribe. The tribe. In trying to describe a tribe to someone, when we look at the Chippewa Nation, word that comes to my mind regularly is generous. I know a lot of people would think, gambling, casino. I think of generosity because of the number of news stories I've had to talk about that they have given, not only to Isabella, but to the region.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I think it was, it's very much part of the culture that they want to give back. They want to be part of community, that they want to have a positive impact. But at the same time, listen, they understand they're a casino. And maybe when it first started, there was people that said, geez, you're going to tear our community apart. You're going to turn us into Vegas or Atlantic City. And I think there was some consternation, and I give their leadership a lot of credit. They said, no, this is very different when it's done from a tribe, and we're going to show that. So they have, through the years, taken 2% of the proceeds from slot casino gaming, and they give that back to local nonprofits and units of government. So you'll see donations to schools and various nonprofit organizations or to local governments in Isabella and Aranet County that have been absolutely dynamic, transformative, things that schools and others wouldn't be able to do. A lot in STEM. It could be facilities. It could be uniforms. You name it, really helping their communities. And it's a win-win for them because they're doing what's right, but this is where their members go to schools. This is where that they're living. And so when you're part of a tribe, it's really interesting. You may live on the reservation, but you also happen to live in Isabella County, or you also happen to live in Mount Pleasant or in Union Township. So they have multiple ways in which they're part of different communities. And just like any other great company, let's take our good friend Dick Garber and all that Garber does to give back across the Great Lakes Bay region. He's an example of a gentleman in a company who gives willingly and generously.
We call them
no
corporate
different, right?
citizens.
That is how the Chippewa Indian tribe operates today. It is just not a corporate citizen. It is one of the absolute top corporate citizens. If you look, the number since 1994 now, they have given back $294 million into the community from the 2% back from slot gaming.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.